recorded, not live. Like, I mean, I don't think I'm going to do it live. So, all right. So this is Lex, everyone. She is my client. And before we get started, Lex, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you found me and how we connected.
We had the same coach. We met in Heather's group. I learned that was the first time I actually even tried coaching. It was pretty cool. I started having really big dreams about becoming a coach and getting a property and all this stuff. And I kind of fell out of the coaching for a little bit, and now I'm back into it with Lauren's human design stuff, and it's super, super clarifying so far. So I'm having a lot of fun with her program now.
Thank you. And I'm glad that you're having fun. Now, tell me a little bit about, I know for Heather's program, shout out to Heather, I know you'll be watching this. Thank you for connecting us. So basically, so everybody knows what Heather's program is. It's pretty much, would you say that it was like a foundational course for something that you would need before my course? Or do you feel like I incorporate it as well? What's the word? I incorporate both of it, like boundaries, just like the normal stuff that you need for foundational work. Would you say that that is something that you needed to learn more of, or was Heather's foundational course what you needed to get to where you are today?
I feel like Heather's course really benefited me a lot. I needed her light to get me even into like thinking that I could do it, and it was super helpful. I don't know if I really needed it before your course, but it definitely, I mean, if you have a hard time putting your feelings into words and stuff like that, Heather's program was phenomenal for helping me really sort through my emotional content. So like, it helped me like learn the next level of this astrology stuff. So I really appreciate having that first. So
yeah. I just was trying to paint a picture on like if people were trying to debate if my course would be something for them. I always direct them to, because my vision on somebody, trauma is a kind of a big word, right? So it's like once people say trauma, I feel like Heather breaks it down into tangible steps that, you know, I teach too in my program, but her program too definitely is something you know, can coincide with my program. So I wanted to give people an option for that too. And if anybody wanted to know about Heather's program, drop that below and I'll give you that information. Okay, so is there anything that you would say you had challenges before we worked together that did not work, and now incorporate, since going through some of my program, what helped you incorporate that stuff?
I think what helped me the most was realizing the not self and that I'm a projector, so I don't have that much energy. So like I've always wanted to stop pushing myself into overwhelm, if you will. So it definitely helped me like have that more matured observation of what I was previously doing, and a lot of epiphanies since the human design comparison, like, so
Yeah. So now when you said not self-theme, did that kind of give you some breathing room when you found out, or I should say, did learning your strategy and authority and your energy type, did that kind of give you like, okay, so like there's nothing wrong with me kind of thing, or did you kind of feel relieved? Okay.
A lot of relief on my energy level, because I've always just overworked and I don't want to be like that anymore. And I didn't know how to build a schedule that would for me. Oh,
yeah. Yeah. And so we're doing, since we've built that schedule and doing that, that has helped you.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So what are some of your thoughts and emotions from the experiences that you are having now that we've worked together that you've had previously that you felt like you couldn't overachieve?
I was having a really hard time not being toxic in my communication because I was really forceful with my cleft palate. I just always had like a certain amount of toxic that I was allowing myself to have, and it was really hard to address that. And I know that I have a lot greater awareness of when I'm getting defensive and when I'm speaking from a not heart-centered place.
Mhm.
And that's
Oh, I
really
love that. Heart centered. That's all me. Yes. I love that. I'm so proud of you too. All right. So when you say, one of your not self themes, just like mine, is bitterness. So do you feel like having that awareness around when you're feeling bitter, how would that look like before versus now? Can you give me like like a situation that you would like to be willing to share?
I can kind of generalize it, I think, which was like my mind would kind of go in a frenzy and then I would just like speak up or like have a reaction more than, a wholesome conversation. Like I wasn't engaging in healthy communication, and that was just super hard for me to really get on top of.
So you would say that kind of learning about your ego, like that responsive, was helpful to knowing when your ego versus when was your higher self answering. You felt like this program helped you with that too.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect. Is there something you found that you've learned in working with me so far that was the most helpful?
Um, Probably learning the projector stuff.
Energy type. Okay.
Yeah.
So and I'm going to go elaborate with the energy type. So for anybody that doesn't know what she means by a projector, there's 5 energy types. So a projector, pretty much, we all have like a role here in society. So the projectors are pretty much the guides here, the ones that kind of tell people what's working, what's not. Now, I don't mean tell people by being like a dictator. I mean, like when they're invited, meaning that's their strategy to share their wisdom. That's what I mean by that. So if you don't know your energy type, or you don't even know what I'm talking about, you can message me, or I can send you my masterclass that I did that goes all in depth detail. I did an hour-long free masterclass that teaches you all about that. So you can drop that below if you want that. And yeah, moving on. Okay, so were there any shifts that you've made that you weren't expecting?
Let me see. I guess I wasn't. I wasn't.
It's okay. This is not live. I'll edit out any of the pauses, just like that, like moving on. I'm going to edit that out. So don't worry about being perfect. It'll be perfect once I upload it.
All right.
Yeah, because as I say, this is the first time I've interviewed somebody, and I'm like looking down. I'm like, yeah. So it's practice for both of us.
What question are you on?
For 5. Were there
5?
any shifts you made that you weren't expecting?
I wasn't expecting like epiphany after epiphany with my ego and like recognizing it and all that stuff, because I've always been kind of aware and I didn't want to live for my ego, because my ego is just like how the world perceives me or whatever, and like I wanted to be, true to myself or whatever. And so it was really great to find, a program that's like really elaborated on this aspect, that I could find like another level of clarity and expansion and knowledge and growth on it. It's not just a theory in my head anymore.
Yeah. Awesome. So just recapping on that, Lex said that she didn't expect the shift of the ego, like a huge shift of ego, more clarity. And just for anybody that doesn't know the ego, in my program, I go in depth on what the ego is for you. Because for me, I've learned throughout the last 3 years that everybody talks about ego versus higher self and how to respond and not to get triggered. And these triggers are yours and all of this stuff. But it's just like, sure, that's good and great and all, and I'm responsible for my triggers and all that stuff, but like, how do I work with them? And I felt like through my program, and Lex, you can probably attest to this, that I've realized that everybody has a different ego response. So I realized looking at people's charts, I actually researched that, and I actually tell them, because I physically am reading their chart so they can help themselves. And I'm not only telling them, the only reason why I'm saying telling them is because I'm teaching them. So I probably should say teaching them how to read their chart and how their ego responds, versus it could be their sons, it could be their daughters, it could be their mom and dads. And I feel like since having my clients do this, and I feel like it's changed relationships, because the huge part of relationship, I feel like, is the ego. Like, pretty much you're just fighting people's egos. Like, you're arguing, you're disagreeing, and it's just like, let's come to a middle ground. And I feel like that has really shifted people's relationships with themselves, for one, because that's where we start out here in this program, but also with relationships, because that's really important. So that's awesome. All right. So just the last question. What tips or advice do you have for somebody that's still struggling?
I advise to get involved in a group with a coach or something, because doing it alone is not really ideal. You get off track. So definitely get in with a community or a coach, I guess.
Thank you.
And also, if you have your birth time, check out human design, because it explains so much. You can stop fighting yourself. It's really
Yes.
great.
Yes, I was going to say, yeah, the last part. That's where it started for me when I started human design. I needed to understand myself, and I feel like once people understand themselves, you're not crazy, you're not lazy. It's not you have to do all of the things. I feel like we all have the power within us to heal, and you just need to understand it. So I love that. Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Lex, for your time. And if anybody has any questions for Lex and how she did it, or anything that any questions for her, you can also drop them below. I'm sure she'll love to answer them.
Yeah, I'll be in the comments.
Yes, they'll be in the comments when this is uploaded. We're recording this before, and we'll upload this. It'll be in the group. So, all right. You don't have to leave. I'm just going to stop recording.
Okay.